So let's say what exactly goes into that Ansible role. So we have created an Ansible role using Ansible-Galaxy init provision a role, right? And what goes into that role is something like tree structure. This is a structure of an Ansible role by default role. Are you going to use all of them? You don't need to. Okay, but tasks are mandatory. This is the place where you are writing actual tasks, what exactly you are trying to do with Ansible. And whereas you can put some variables there, and the templates, if you have any templates, you can put there, and the default variables, if you have anything, you can put there. Each and every folder, these are all folders only, right? You see, these are all folders only. Each and every folder will have a main.yaml file. If I go here, right, cd tasks, there is a main.yaml file. If I go to that main.yaml file, I don't see anything. But this is the place where you will be writing tasks. Okay. And if I go to a other folder, for example, test, right? And you see that test.yaml and inventory. This is something we don't use. But if you go to if you go to where, right, and main.yaml here as well, you don't have anything there. Okay, if you go to any folder, you will see main.yaml. For example, templates, I don't think you will have main.yaml because that is designed for templates only, right? If I go there, no main.yaml, because let's say I have a data files, right? I wanted to templatize those files, I wanted to deploy those files. I can add all those files here actually. This main.yaml is the place where you can add your tasks, and inside where's main.yaml is the place where you can put your parameters. And there is one more place in defaults also, you will see main.yaml where you can have a default parameters. Can't we use a default parameters in where's as well? Yes, you can do that. But instead of changing them every time, they are very default and I can put there. For example, if I don't put anything here, pick it from the defaults, something like that. Okay. And this is the tree structure. Let me explain diagrammatic way. Okay. So this is a, let's say this is an Ansible role. Okay. This is an Ansible role. Inside that role, this is a tree structure. Tasks is mandatory. If you don't say like handlers, all that kind of stuff, that's fine. But these are all, there are mandatory, you know, mandatory folders inside that role, and you must know them actually. Tasks is one of them, and where's is one of them, and another one is defaults. Defaults is one of them, and what else? And you will see, you saw there like a files, right? Files, templates. This is called a tree structure actually. Okay, tree structure, templates, right? This is the place where you can this is how you can manipulate your role basically. Okay, now I have my role, right? I have my role. I can put all my tasks. For example, I need to add a task to provision in EC2. I can go to tasks, right, and a Vim, and let me add a task to provision in EC2. Instead of I would say creating, I can say provisioning in EC2. I don't need to write tasks again because it's already tasks. Whatever you're writing here is a task. I would just name it provision and EC2 rel server. Okay. I can name module EC2 and all I have to do just to provide a key pair, right? Key pair. No, this should go inside this, and I would have to provide AMI ID or AMI, something like that. I don't know, AMI, and I need to provide instance underscore type, right? And I can register this output, right? Register this output. Okay, let's say I need to get some data from that register. What I'll do, get instance ID example, and a set fact. I would use set fact, right? And instance, I can create a dynamic variable, for example ID, something like that, right? And how I can get the dynamic variable is I can add a register first, dot, and that register, in that register, if when you have actual value in that register, you will get JSON output. Okay, and that JSON output will tell you instances, and inside that instances, that there is a block in the sense array. Inside that instances, you will see an array. Inside that array, you will see a parameter called the instance ID. What I will do, I'll just map that parameter. For example, map that attribute equals to something like instance underscore ID, and I'll just list. If I have a number of instances, right, I'll just list. I'll grab whatever attribute you will see called instance ID and make a list and add that list to this variable. This is called a dynamic variable actually. Okay, and this is called a mapping a data. This is called mapping a data as well. Okay, and people ask like, how do you get, have you used any Jinja filter? Yes, I have used Jinja filter, and this is called a Jinja filter. And have you used have you designed any, like, have you created any dynamic variables? Yes, using setfact. These are all modules. Setfact is a module. EC2 is a module. Register is a module, and create AMI, EC2 AMI, or create EC2 underscore AMI is a module. Shell command. Let's say, for example, if I need to run any shell command, example, right? Name install Apache unrel, example. Okay, and shell, right? What is the command to use install Apache? Sudo yum install httpd. Shell is a module. Okay, and if anybody asks, like, okay, name some modules, I would say like EC2, create a EC2 AMI, shell, and a line in file, and a set fact, copy module, file module, and ECS module, cloud formation module, and there are a lot of modules that I use my day-to-day activities. Have you mapped any data in Ansible? Yes. So I have to, in order to map the data, you need to register the output, and that output will give you a JSON output. Inside that JSON output, you will see an array, and in that array, you will see bunch of attributes. In that bunch of attributes, let me show you what that means. In that bunch of attributes, right? Get out of this here Ansible training. You will see the values for those attributes actually. If I go to, Ansible -playbook, executing this playbook, and Ansible -playbook launch ec2.yaml, right? Let me launch an instance. Okay, let me run it in a verbose mode. Verbose mode in the sense it can give you output actually. Okay, you see that? So this is a JSON output. this output is a JSON output. I used 2 verbs, let me use 3. I'll tell you what that means is. You see that? So this is a JSON output. In this JSON output, if you see anything, something like, starting with a box like this is array. Okay. When you register an output for a instance, I'm not saying this is everything that you should remember, but what I'm saying is, this scenario you're creating an instance. In a different scenario, you're going to create something else. In a different scenario, you're going to deploy something else. The end goal is how do you get the data from one task to another task, and that is called a mapping. Okay. And the logic that we wrote there is called a Jinja filter. Okay. And those are the modules that I would name. Am I clear?
Yes, Vishnu.
Okay. So Vidya, are you with me? Are you clear?
Yes, Vishnu.
Amala, how about you?
Yes, Vishnu.
Okay. So yeah, that is good. That is the one thing. The other thing is, when you design a VPC, okay, what exactly goes into a VPC? Let me open AWS Management Console. Management Console. So what exactly goes into a VPC? Obviously, VPC should have at least a subnet. VPC is nothing but virtual private cloud. That means a portion of a network. Okay, portion of AWS network, you can say. Okay, a network should have at least one subnet and one public subnet and one private subnet. Okay, so if I go to VPC, if anybody asks me what goes into a VPC, I can go to VPC dashboard. Each and every service has its own dashboard. And excuse me, what I see here, I see subnets, route tables, internet gateways, okay, and the carrier gateways, DHCP sets. But what I will say, definitely subnets for sure, and the route tables for sure, and internet gateways, and also security groups. And inside that security groups, I will add instances, inbound and outbound roles. So this is how I designed VPC in my previous project actually. Okay, that is fair enough. Then people look for like, okay, what is this network access controls, and can you tell me a difference between network access control and a security group? People ask that question actually. So if you look at that network access control, the inbound roles, right, allow Jenny. If I go to outbound roles, you see that allow Jenny. So the inbound rules and the outbound rules in a network access controls are same. Okay, inbound rules and outbound rules in a network access control is the same. Whereas if you go to security group, the inbound rules and outbound rules are different. You will have to configure inbound rules and outbound rules. I go to security group, right? What does that mean is, security group is stateless. Security groups are stateless, and network access control are stateful basically. If I go to security group, right? Go to security groups. If I open any of the security group, so the inbound rules for the security group is SSH only, SSH all traffic. Outbound rules are different. You see that all traffic for only this one, but the inbound rule is different. only SSH through IPv4. And the outbound rule, this is a separate region. And if you go here, and this is a separate region, you see that E3E, and this is a B5B. Let's pick the different one to eliminate that confusion. Okay, here the inbound rules allow SSH, right? Let's pick outbound rule. It's the same thing. It's a different security group rule. That means an instance which is inside the security group will send a traffic only that instance which is in the security group only. It cannot go behind this point. Okay, this is the difference between security group and network access control. That is something people will look for. Okay, now people will look for like a troubleshooting experience. How do you troubleshoot, right? And yeah, I can check the logs. Where do you check the logs? I can check the logs in for example, CloudWatch and a CloudTrail. And also, I can log into that EC2 instance using SSH, and I can check the logs over there, var log folder. I can go there, I can check those logs, and and also I can check the monitoring tools. We use Splunk and a Kibana for monitoring, and a CloudWatch as well. So I can check the logs in CloudWatch as well, and that's will be my monitoring. And once, let's say, you found an issue on XYZ thing, how do you troubleshoot? Yeah, based on the issue, and I can troubleshoot. For example, let's say there is a parameter is missing. For example, key pair ID. You did provide a key pair, but that key pair is invalid. There is no key pair exist with that name. So it will fail. You will have to provide the right key pair ID. That's how I troubleshoot. Based on the issue, I would troubleshoot. That is something people will look. And if anybody asks me, talk about your Linux experience. So yeah, I do have excellent experience with the Linux. I started my career as a Linux administrator long time ago. Since then, what I've been doing is I did implement like a baseline images in the sense we get the like a base images from RHEL. We use Red Hat Enterprise Linux images only. We get the base images from RHEL, and we update like a necessary configurations based on the project, like post provision, like a deployment files, some configuration files, and adding users, and installation of necessary tools, and we update all those in a server. We create a server from baseline, and we update user data, all that kind of stuff, and we create an AMI from that server. Once that AMI is ready, and we can send that AMI to scanning team, like we have a security team, and once we get proper approval, we can go ahead and terminate that instance, and we use that AMI that we created earlier as a baseline image. So I did build baseline images in my current project, in my previous project as well. I did even automate using Ansible, like I created an EC2 instance and run the user data script, and grab that instance ID from that EC2 provision task, and provide it to create an AMI task, and AMI has been created, and shared that AMI with a necessary scanning team, like we have a security team. And I did create baselines with in my current and previous project actually. Then also patches, I do update the patches. We do update patches every 2 months, and I was responsible for like about like a 2 to 300 servers actually, but not in the current project. It was a long time ago, like a 3-4 years ago, previous projects actually. And also I did write Ansible playbooks like a 3-4 years ago to patch that systems, like a yum updates, and excluded packages in the module itself, and excluded packages in the yum.configuration file. And patching is one of the major activities that I have done in my previous experience actually. Obviously, like a user management and creating users, and file permissions, assigning users right permissions, and also I do have a very good experience with managing services on the Linux, like using systemd and a systemctl, and a lot of troubleshooting, And yeah, that is my experience with the Linux. Okay, fair enough. That should be more than enough. Actually, I don't think people go behind that. Actually, even if they want to go, they will ask maybe a command or what. How do you do this? How do you do that? Things like that. Okay. Any other questions?
No, Vishnu.
Okay. Let me